Welcome back to The Explainer. So, today, we're stepping right into the absolute cauldron of European football. I want you to close your eyes for a second. Imagine the floodlights piercing that dark Munich sky. You feel that sharp chill in the air, and the stadium, it is literally trembling under the sheer force of over 70,000 people losing their absolute minds. We're unpacking the 2026 Champions League semifinals second leg between Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain. Now, we all know the first leg was an absolute spectacle of football joy that's going down in history. But this second leg? Man, this was a completely different beast.
Just picture being in those stands. It was an absolute sea of red. The roar of the Bayern faithful was just deafening, even during the warm-ups. As a supporter, walking up those steps, you genuinely feel the crushing weight of a semifinal night sitting right on your chest. You could practically taste the history, the intensity, that absolute commitment from both sides. Every single touch, every single tackle, it literally felt like life or death. The tension was just suffocating because everyone in that building knew exactly what was on the line.
And all of that massive tension, it boils down to one single agonizing number. One ticket remaining. Just one spot left for the ultimate showdown in Budapest. Okay, let's dive into this and see exactly how this brutal, beautiful 90 minutes unfolded, starting with a moment that sucked the oxygen right out of the Allianz Arena. Section 1. An early Paris stunner. So imagine this. You're in the crowd screaming yourself hoarse, right? And then, in the blink of an eye, the absolute worst-case scenario materializes. PSG's efficiency was painfully clinical here. Felia manages to break away from Upamecano, scans the box, and spots his guy. It's a beautiful, precise pullback right into the center, and Ousmane Dembélé comes infield for the perfect clinical finish. Just like that, a terrifying, gut-wrenching silence swept through the stands.
But, in Munich, the silence never lasts. The response was frantic, and it was immediate. The fans, completely draped in red, absolutely roared to lift their team right back off the canvas. You had Konrad Laimer throwing himself into tackles, aggressively winning back possession. Captain Joshua Kimmich was furiously pushing the tempo forward, demanding more from everyone. The stadium instantly turned back into a boiling pressure cooker.
Section 2. The refereeing controversies.
Now, when the stakes are this astronomical, every single blow of the whistle feels massive. Take a look at this major flashpoint. The ball is played through, and it really appears to strike the top of Nuno Mendes' arm. 70,000 people are screaming for a penalty. And what happens? The referee gives the foul the other way. Oh man, the fans were completely incensed. And hey, it wasn't just the fans losing their minds. Check out this quote summarizing the touchline reaction of Vincent Kompany. Frustration. He's absolutely livid. Kompany was the perfect mirror for every single Bayern supporter in that stadium right then. His sheer exasperation perfectly captured that undeniable, sinking feeling that the calls were just not going their way, especially when they desperately needed a lifeline. But the disbelief didn't stop there, folks. Just moments later, we get another highly contentious moment. João Neves is in the box, and his arm appears to be away from his body as the ball makes contact. The Bayern players swarm the ref. The crowd is absolutely howling for VAR to intervene. The referee takes a moment, tries to call for calm, but eventually, the shout is entirely waved away. To really grasp the gravity of these non-calls, you have to look at the reaction from the pundits that night. I'm so surprised that hasn't been given. I mean, by the standards we've seen across the Champions League all season long, those are the exact types of moments that usually point to the spot. Hearing that external validation, it only fueled the raging fire of frustration for the supporters. The pressure on the man in the middle was just astronomical at this point. And then the tension completely boils over into pure chaos. Luis Diaz takes on the defense, spirals to the floor, and instead of a penalty, the referee books him for simulation. Captain Kimmich is immediately across the pitch, furiously demanding an explanation. Follow-up efforts lead to yet another penalty shot that just gets waved away. It was this dizzying, furious sequence that left the home faithful feeling totally battered by the officiating.
Section 3. Battle of the Goalkeepers.
Amidst all this wild chaos, the men between the posts were putting on a breathless heart-and-mouth show. On one end, you have the legendary veteran, Manuel Neuer, being absolutely immense, making these massive reaction saves and sweeping up defensively like he always does. On the other end, PSG's Matvei Safonov was entirely unorthodox but brilliant. He was shoveling clearances away and showing super reactions to deny Jamal Musiala. It was a mesmerizing contrast of styles that kept the whole tie balancing on a knife's edge.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how Neuer reacted to his own brilliance. After a massive, potentially tie-saving stop at the far post, he gets up and celebrates exactly as if Bayern had just scored a goal. I mean, he was almost in tears. That right there illustrates just how insanely high the stakes really were. Every single save was monumental.
Section 4. A late spark of hope.
As the clock ticked down, the sheer desperation in the stadium morphed into this explosive wave of pressure. By minute 80, Bayern are completely emptying the tank. Then, in the 89th minute, the stadium absolutely erupts. Harry Kane receives the ball from Davies, turns with unbelievable speed, and strikes a clinical left-footed goal. The noise is deafening. Moving into stoppage time, Pavlovic and Kane make one last frantic push before the whistle.
The pundits really nailed it. Maybe too late, but it's just such a clinical finish. I mean, how many times have we seen Harry Kane do exactly that? So the crucial point is, as that ball hit the net, a painful realization crashed over the stadium. It was a brilliant spin-in goal, but it just felt like it was seconds too late to actually save the tie.
Section 5. Paris marches to Budapest. When that final whistle finally blew, the emotional drop for the home fans was utterly crushing. I mean, they had given everything from the stands. The players left it all out on the pitch, but time simply ran out. The Munich faithful were left with total heartbreak, while over on the other side of the pitch, the traveling Parisian supporters absolutely erupted. It was a resilient, hard-fought triumph for the defending European champions. So looking at Paris Saint-Germain's winning formula over the two legs, it was the complete package. They're still defending their European crown, and they survived this by unleashing surgical, attacking brilliance early on. And then, crucially, proving they could dig in deep defensively under withering pressure in the Munich cauldron.
And the ultimate prize for surviving that massive test? Next stop, Budapest. Paris Saint-Germain are officially packing their bags to face Arsenal in the Champions League final. They did exactly what they had to do to keep their dream of back-to-back titles alive.
But as the floodlights turn off in Munich, it leaves us with one massive lingering thought. Looking at the razor-thin, agonizing margins of this match, did Dembélé's clinical early stunner genuinely win it? Or did those agonizing non-calls and the referee's whistle ultimately decide the fate of Bayern Munich? What do you think? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.